The impetus behind this video is many people pass along links to my blogs. I blog at canyonwalkerconnections.com, and I am a straight evangelical Christian. I am an activist for the LGBT community into the church and into society. So people hope that maybe the voice that I have and the writing that I do will make sense to some of their straight Christian friends. So this is a message specifically for straight Christians, and I'm hoping that maybe I can be a voice for GLBT Christians. I've been a Christian for 27 years, and yes, I am straight, and I am evangelical, and people will want to put air quotes around that because they won't believe that I am a Christian, but I am. So here we go. This is three things that they would want to say to you if you would just stop and listen sometimes. I want to talk about translation. I want to talk about transformation, and I want to talk about creation. I want to talk about translation in the Bible. A lot of times you will hear from your GLBT friends, family, that homosexuality of the committed, mutual, loving relationship types never mentioned in the Bible. And you'll just keep saying to them, but Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Romans, Corinthians, Timothy, and certainly Genesis 19, that's all about homosexuality. I want to talk to you very much about translation. Translation, I hate to make this so basic, but it gets confused so many times. I have to say it. I have to just bottom line say it so straightforward. You need to go back to context, culture, and original language. If you're going to read the Old Testament, use your concordance, go back to the original Hebrew words, and certainly read things in context. And the same thing with the New Testament, use your concordance and go to the original Greek words, what they mean. Every time that it is translated as homosexuality or homosexual in the Old Testament and New Testament, it has to do with one of just a few situations. It has to do with idol worship. It has to do with sexual abuse. It has to do with prostitution, or it has to do with rape and violence. Genesis, rape and violence. I'm just going to bottom line it here because you can go to my blog site at canyonwalkerconnections.com. I have at least 5,000 words on each of these verses from the Bible. There's proof texts on all of them. So you can just find your way around that blog site. It's pretty easy to do. There's one on Sodom and Gomorrah, rape and violence. Deuteronomy and Leviticus, Old Testament books. They're books of the law. Good explanation in there too. I've made myself a list of abominations that I found in Deuteronomy and Leviticus, 43 different abominations, and I did dreadfully on the test. I only passed 14 of the 43. One of them is male-to-male sex. Yes, abomination, the word toiva, which is culturally impure. Doesn't mean sin that can get you condemned to hell. That's a different word, zimma. Go to the blog site. Interestingly included in that list of zimma, which are not just culturally unacceptable but real sin, are not going to church on Sunday and adultery, which is something I'll address in my video on marriage equality. I do lots of writing, I do lots of videos, can't possibly say everything in 10 minutes, so before you attack me and say I don't know what I'm doing, please spend some time invested in some of the other references and the other writing and speaking that I've done. And in Romans, the situation being spoken into that is so awful is when the Romans went back to their former positions of idolatry and they turned their backs on the Jesus they once knew. That is that unforgivable sin that we hear so much about. That is that. It is not same-sex behavior. It is turning your back on Jesus once you knew him. And if you look in 1 Timothy and 1 Corinthians, those words malakoi and osinikoite, terrible translations. Did you know that before 1960 and 1970, those words were often translated as pervert or male prostitute? And with our cultural biases in the 60s and 70s, we translated those words to homosexual. Not a fair translation. The other thing I want to say for them is that they are believers. The signs of a believer are professions in Jesus Christ and fruits of the Spirit. 60% of them say they have a faith in God, that their Christian faith is GLBT people, their Christian faith is important to them. 58% of them say they've made a profession in Jesus Christ. Who are we to say, just because we don't approve of their same-sex behavior, that they are not Christians? They are indeed Christians. They've gone through the transformation, just like the people that do profess that they are Christians. So stop putting quotes around it and stop saying that gay Christians are oxymorons. Let God decide on that. Please read my verses on what homosexuality is really spoken about in the Bible, and please believe when they say that they're Christians, that they're Christians. Not your job to assess that. If they're professing it and there's fruits of the Spirit, they are indeed Christians. And the last one is creation. People are born gay. It's not a choice. Nobody would make this choice. And I have to say that when people continually say that this is a choice, that is absolute and utter ignorance. You either choose not to see what's out there, you have no GLBT friends, or you just want to believe this for your own fear and discrimination. GLBT people are indeed born that way. This is not a choice. They want some of the same things you do. They don't want any special rights. They want equal rights. They want to be married. There's a post that I've done. There's a blog post I've done on marriage. I do for who. I'm also doing, there's also going to be a video on that where I speak about marriage equality from a biblical, social, and political point of view. Please look at that. Don't just take my 100 words here and make an assessment either. These are just teasers to point you into other directions and other links where you can find information. They want families. I know many, many dozens of GLBT parents, and they make fabulous parents. And there's only one couple I know that has a lesbian child. Isn't that interesting? In the hundreds of people that I know that are parents, gay parents, there's only one lesbian child in here. Lesbian parents do not make lesbian children. They are not out to recruit your children into homosexuality. They are not out to recruit anybody. This is just ridiculous. These are ridiculous statements. They are not pedophiles. My goodness, they don't want to have sex with children. They want equal relationships. They want just what heterosexual couples want, but they want the ability to love and form relationships with same-sex couples. So I know that most of you watching this will believe that homosexuality is a sin, and we probably can't budge off of that point until you do some of that reading and see that there's possibly another point of view. So just as a quick conclusion to this, I think that our positions of the church against the GLBT community, and especially the GLBT Christian community, is filled with fear. It's filled with discrimination. I don't see that those are the Jesus ways to deal with things. Please, this is too short. Read my blog posts. I have many. I have one on each of the verses of the Bible that deals with homosexuality, canyonwalkertoconnections.com. So this was just a quick teaser. They care about the translation of the Bible, that it's inaccurate. Great article on 1 Corinthians and 1 Timothy in my blog post. Great article. Transformation. Yes, they are indeed Christians. And creation. They are created as gay human beings. So please consider listening to all of this, and I appreciate it. I'm Kathy with canyonwalkerconnections.com. That's where I blog. Thanks.